All right, moving on now. With the Browns season officially coming to an end last night, it's time to look back on the season that was.
Do we have to?
Yes.
Yeah, we do. So to do that, we know that even though it ended on a high note, there were all kinds of memorable moments over this 69th Browns season. 8-9. So that's basically, that's just a wash because the fans had big expectations. Here's Mike Polk's look back on the disappointing season that was 2021.
I don't know if I'm the first to say this or not, but I, for one, found that Browns season to be a skosh disappointing. Of course, that doesn't mean I wasn't still in attendance at that meaningless, rainy, cold game at the stadium yesterday, where some Browns fans were still maintaining their optimism. As the season draws to a close, I thought we'd take a look back at some of the more memorable occurrences throughout the year that kept us engaged despite the unrealized promise of our team's potential. For example, does everyone remember when Myles Garrett constructed his charming QB graveyard to commemorate all the quarterbacks he had sacked up to that point? That was fun. Of course, it was still a young season at the time, with no idea how poorly things would end, but still, it was fun at the time, right? Or how about the time Baker Mayfield got sassy by attempting to discreetly slip as many Kanye West album titles into his post-game press conference just to mess with us?
The late registration of Watch the Throne with him, graduation level, being college dropouts, that's the life of Pablo for Kareem.
It's still funny, but again, funnier back when he did it because we were 2-1 at the time. Still had hope. Of course, I'm sure we won't soon forget when Odell Beckham Sr. went hardcore obnoxious Little League dad back in November by sharing a video on Instagram illustrating all the times his son had been open this season, thereby helping to secure Odell's release from the team. The lesson here, of course, is that if you don't like how you're being treated at work, just have your parents go online and yell at your bosses about how underappreciated you are. Good luck! We also had to say goodbye to our colorful and for some reason ripped punter, Jamie Gillan, aka the Scottish Hammer, who probably got to stick around as long as he did despite some deficiencies, because let's face it, his nickname ruled. Remember, kids, it's all about branding. Hey, speaking of kickers, remember when our kicker was struggling so hard this season that the Browns briefly considered signing someone named Chris Blewett to take over our kicking duties? And look, I'm not saying Chris Blewett isn't any good, I don't know, but there's just no reason for the Browns to have tempted the fates of the universe by making it that easy on them. Might as well sign a wide receiver named Tyler McDropstheball. So thank you, Browns, for your restraint. And of course, no year in review would be complete without reminding everyone of what was probably the most tragic thing that occurred during this Browns season. And no, I'm not talking about COVID. I'm speaking of this commercial featuring our all-pro offensive linemen.
Get the benefits that prevent any struggle. Let's all do the Spitz or Shield Shuffle.
That dropped in September, and unfortunately, I feel like it really set a tone for the season. But what's done is done. Was the season everything we had hoped it would be? Of course not. But I truly don't believe it's as gloom and doom as so many people seem to think right now. There's a solid young core on this team. I still trust this front office, and I have a lot of hope for next year. And don't forget, sure, we didn't win the AFC North this year, but we went undefeated against the team that did. I know that's not a great consolation, but sometimes you just have to cling on to these things to stay positive. Sometimes you have to find a reason to dance. Go Browns. See you next season.